Hi, my name is Faraz and I'm a student of University of Wollongong and studying electrical engineering in postgraduate degree. And today I'm going to present a topic which is given to me by my research supervisor, and the topic of research is optimization of supply side and demand side management in a smart grid. So first of all, what is smart grid? A smart grid is an electrical grid which includes a variety of operational and energy measures, including smart meters, distributed energy resources, and energy efficient systems. Further, I'll tell about the brief introduction of my research, that due to the increase in population, the consumption of electricity in present days has increased, and for this, the old grids were not capable to provide the power according to the consumer's need. So there was a need to introduce a new smart grid, in which the load and demand side, the load management of demand and supply side can be managed. So load optimization in a smart grid is a major issue in the current scenario, which attract the attention of researchers. And optimization of smart grids will improve the overall efficiency and will reduce the cost of power to the consumer. And there are several techniques that were discussed in this research paper. That the first of all is HLM, the home load management technique, which is very useful because in this technique the smart grid allocate the load according to the needs of individual homes. For example, they allocate the load according to their need in the peak hours and the off peak hours. Like the load in the off peak hours is increased due to the mechanism given by the suppliers to minimize the cost of the electricity. And secondly, there is a distributed energy source method, in which we discuss two customers. One is comprising renewable energy sources, and the other is without the renewable energy sources. The renewable energy sources include solar and wind energy. The customer can actually participate in the smart grid and can minimize the load during peak hours by using the renewable energy sources, like the energy that came from solar panels and the photovoltaic cell. That energy they used to save that energy in their homes and can send back to the smart grids. In this way, they can participate in the load optimization of demand side and supply side in both perspectives. Furthermore, the cost of the electricity is also decreased due to the use of this method. By using this method, the customer will not only use the energy coming from the grid, but can also use the renewable energy sources for their appliances at peak hours. And due to this, the efficiency of the system will increase in both the scenarios, like in peak offer, off peak hours and peak hours. Thirdly, there is a technique which is discussed in this research proposal, is load scheduling. The load scheduling, in this technique, the supplier will allocate the load according to the weather. Actually, in this they use up the mechanism which predict the weather uh, for the coming days, so that they allocate the load one day before. The limitation in this technique is that that they allocate the load before one day, and there is a certainty of changing of climate, as it is a variable thing. So the allocation get um, the allocation of the load is a flaw that they allocate one day before. Moving on, there is another technique of real-time pricing, which include the pricing technique, in which the supplier increase the price of the energy at peak hours to minimize the load management at demand side, and during off-peak hours the cost is reduced. But there is also a limitation in this, as the customers are not be able to use the load during peak hours. And further, moving on, my research question is related to that, as my research question is related to that because the um, the techniques that they use are limited, and I propose a technique in which the load minimization can be achieved up to maximum level by opting certain techniques. And as they are minimizing the load and optimizing the load at both sides, supply and demand side, so that's why it's related to my research question. That was also my research question, to optimize the design for balancing of load at management, or load management of demand side and supply side. There are many methods that I presented before, but now I'm going to present my research design. Due to the limitation in the current methods that I discussed before, there was a need to propose a new design in which the limitations can be minimized. So I actually propose an experiment design of my research design, which is experiment based, in which I compare two values, and which could be the load and supply values to balance the load management at demand side and supply side. In this design, I will use load management techniques like pricing, real-time pricing technique, load scheduling, that will reduce the load on peak times, and I will use the renewable energy sources as a energy suppliers at the grid, in the grids, so that they can decrease the carbon footprint and can achieve a better and efficient electrical system. There are some strengths in the methods, like this method will optimize the load in the demand and the supply side. The building cost is also reduced due to the use of renewable energy sources that are very cheaper than the traditional energy suppliers using for the energy generation, like fossil fuel and coal, that emit carbon dioxide in the environment, that is harmful for the environment. and there are limitations in my method that I think can be excluded, which are the as my design is experimental based, so there is a certainty to involve that involves uh, the variability of different variables, like I discussed before that, like there is a certainty of changing of climate if I use the probability technique in my student. And furthermore, by opting the technique, uh, we can achieve the high level of optimization in the smart grid, and can reduce the load at load demand side and the supply side. Thank you. This is all from my side.